What's up guys, it's Tommy here and welcome to the Liverpool-Chelsea post-match analysis video. What did you think of the game, especially the red card? Do you think the red card was justified? And also, what should have been the fair result? I think maybe a 2-1 Liverpool win should have been the most fair result, because Liverpool obviously did a lot more to win this game than Chelsea. But you could also say that Chelsea defended pretty brilliantly, so congratulations to them, because probably a draw playing a full half with 10 men at Anfield, it must feel like a victory for Chelsea. And I'm very disappointed that Liverpool couldn't break down a stubborn Chelsea side, because I think in attack we should have been a little bit more clinical, a little bit more decisive. I think overall Liverpool played some magnificent football. The first half, that was some of the most intense football that Liverpool played for a long time. And also in the first 15 minutes of the second half, Liverpool kept that intensity up and it felt like the goal was coming. But then Chelsea, they sat back with 10 men behind the ball and they just stifled the game, and they made the game boring every time they could. They slowed the game down, they time wasted, they play acted. Azpilicueta deserves an Oscar for his acting performance at the end of the game. But let's talk about the goals, because I think the Chelsea goal was a world-class header. Maybe you could say that Liverpool should have marked Kai Havertz brilliantly, but sometimes you have to hold your hands up and say that is a brilliant header. To loop the header over Alisson, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, into the top far corner is just a brilliant piece of skill by Kai Havertz. So I applaud that header. That was fantastic work by Kai Havertz. And also Chelsea are sharing the goals around. Nobody scored more than one goal so far for Chelsea, and defensively I think they tightened up so much. You listen to this, under Frank Lampard they conceded 1.2 goals per game in the first 19 games of last season, and since Thomas Tuchel came in they concede 0.6 goals per game, which is absolutely staggering that they basically concede half as many goals under Tuchel as they conceded under Lampard. And that just shows how important a world-class manager is. Thomas Tuchel is one of the best managers in the Premier League, and I think he is coaching Chelsea brilliantly. Defensively, they are up there in the Premier League, one of the best defenses alongside Man City and Liverpool's defense. And then, it came the controversy at the end of the first half. Matip should have scored with his header. He does very well, Matip. That cross, which wasn't accurate, he keeps it in play. He loops it over up in the air, and because Mendy and Chelsea defender challenges for the ball together, the ball falls out of Mendy's hand. Matip heads it onto the crossbar. It should have been a goal there, but Matip only hits the crossbar. And then Sadio Mane, even though he didn't have a good game, I was a little bit disappointed by Sadio Mane. Overall, I think all the Liverpool players played well. My only disappointment was Sadio Mane. In the second half, he was just not good enough. And that's where I think Liverpool will be a little bit short this season in the attacking areas. I mean, it's very telling that Jurgen Klopp didn't bring on anybody attacking player instead of Mane, because Mane was pretty poor in the second half. But credit where credit is due. Mane busted a gut to get to that ball after the Matip header, and he forces Reece James to handle the ball. And yes, it's a little bit harsh, but the rule states that if you handle the ball on the line and the ball is going into the goal and you prevent a goal with your hand, even if it's not deliberate, it's a red card and a penalty. So the referee, after consulting with VAR and after he went out to the VAR monitor, has to give a penalty and a red card. Those are the rules. There are no grey areas in the rule, only black and white. And yes, Reece James probably didn't want to handle the ball. It hits his thigh and then it bounces up, but it's going into the goal. And Reece James does a motion like this, probably instinctively, not intentionally, but he still prevents a goal, because if his hand is not there, the ball is going into the goal. So you have to give a penalty and a red card under the current rules. So if you complain about why is that a red card as well as a penalty, probably you should complain about the rule itself and not the referee, because VAR and the referee just implemented the rule that is right now in place. And Mo Salah steps up, he sends Mendy the wrong way, slots it home, and after that I was really over the moon. I was celebrating like crazy, and I really thought Liverpool should go and win this game, and we really should have. And these two missed points, we will probably miss that at the end of the season. I really hope that these are not the 2 points that will be the difference between Liverpool winning the title or not. Of course, it's very early to say that, but I just hope that we won't regret not winning this game. Jurgen Klopp had a little bit of a problem, I think, in the second half, in that all three of his midfielders did so well. We have to talk about Harvey Elliott. This kid right now is playing in the form of his life. Absolute bowler. He was probably our best midfielder on the pitch. He was everywhere and he was so good. Jurgen Klopp kept him on for the full game because he just couldn't substitute him. Fabinho also was an absolute wall in front of the back four, and Henderson is the captain. You don't want to substitute Henderson early. But I think what Liverpool should have done is what we did when we played Chelsea away from home last season. We also were against 10 men in the second half. We brought Thiago on at halftime, and Thiago absolutely run that game from midfield. And we brought Thiago on only in the 74th minute because Henderson and Elliott and Fabinho were so good in midfield. Probably Jurgen Klopp waited a little bit too long for that Thiago substitution to have any real effect. Also, Firmino had a pretty decent game, but he picked up some kind of knock. I didn't really see if he was seriously injured, but probably he maybe pulled a muscle, so he couldn't play on. So Jota had to come on in the 43rd minute, and Jota also had a good game. But my worry with Liverpool is if we don't sign another striker. As I said, if we get an injury, I mean, Firmino could be out for a few weeks now with some kind of muscle injury or some kind of injury. If we don't sign another attacker in the last few days, 3 days left of the transfer window, Liverpool will regret that, because our backup options, Takumi Minamino and Divock Origi, are just not good enough. They are not up to the standard. And it's pretty telling that Jurgen Klopp brought on Tsimikas for Robertson instead of an attacking substitution. We didn't need another left back, a fresh left back. We needed another attacker, and I would have probably brought on Minamino or Origi, but Origi wasn't even on the bench, and Minamino was on the bench, and Naby Keita and Oxlade-Chamberlain. Maybe they could have changed the game. But this Chelsea defense, we have to give them credit. They were just so good. And I think Van Dijk and Matip pocketed Lukaku. There was this huge hype around Lukaku when he came into the Premier League, seeing how many goals he scored in the Serie A, and that he would boss the Premier League and score in pretty much every game. Well, he couldn't even get past Matip, never mind Van Dijk. Liverpool's defenders were just stronger and bigger and better than Lukaku, and I was really happy with how Liverpool defended overall. One little bit of a mistake was punished by Chelsea. My biggest complaint, as I said, Mane wasn't very good in the second half. He didn't really get past people, he didn't really do anything worthy or noteworthy. So if we had an Ismail Assar or another attacker on the bench, we could have brought him on instead of Mane and really go after Chelsea. But as I said, Jurgen Klopp probably doesn't trust Minamino to come on in the second half instead of Mane and score a goal, score a winner. Will Liverpool regret not buying an attacker? I think so, especially when both Mane and Salah leaves for the Africa Cup of Nations. That will be very tough for Liverpool. But in midfield, I think with Harvey Elliott, it's like if Harvey Elliott was 3-4 years older and we signed him for 50-60 million pounds, everybody would be absolutely buzzing about that, and Liverpool fans probably wouldn't complain about the lack of transfer activity. But because Harvey Elliott is basically a youngster who we got for peanuts compared to how good he is already, he's already worth 20 million, and this kid will be a superstar. let me tell you, if he works hard, he keeps working hard, and if he avoids injuries, Harvey Elliott could go right to the very top of English and European football, because he has everything. He had a very dangerous shot in the first few minutes, which almost went in, and also he had a very big chance where he doesn't connect with the ball properly and he skies it instead of shooting on goal. But if he works like this for the rest of his career, then he will have an amazing career, because his touch, his vision, his agility, his low center of gravity, his balance, the way he sees on the pitch, the way he is tirelessly running, working hard, running back with Chelsea attackers and trying to get the ball back. He was just everywhere in midfield, and I absolutely loved the performance, and he merits starting against Chelsea. I will be honest, when we started with Harvey Elliott in midfield, when I saw the lineup, I was like, wow, Jurgen Klopp must really see something special in this kid and trust him 100%. For him to start Harvey Elliott in such a big game against Chelsea, one of our biggest title rivals, speaks volumes. And Jurgen Klopp is right, he has a good eye for goal, and I think Liverpool will score a lot of goals with this right hand side, with Salah, Harvey Elliott and Alexander-Arnold interchanging. The problem was Liverpool's left side. Henderson was playing there, and that's not his usual position, the left side of the centre midfield. So the left to Fabinho, that's not his usual position, and he wasn't really effective. Also Robertson, his first game back after injury, it looked like he's not 100%. He wasn't his usual energetic self, and he didn't really put many crosses in. And also Mane didn't have the best of games. Yes, he forced the penalty and he made some good runs, but we expect a lot more from Mane, and that's the worry. Is this now the start of the decline of Mane? Because last season he had, to his usual standards, a pretty bad middle of the season. His start of the season and the end of the season was terrific for Mane. He scored a lot of goals, but his middle of the season, it was lacking. And yes, Mane already scored against Burnley, and last season, to be fair, he scored 11 goals, which is not too bad. But in 35 games, you expect at least 15 to 20 goals from Mane. And that's my worry, because Mane turns 30 years old next April. And is this the start of the decline of Mane? Is Mane finished? I think it's very early to tell that. But we should watch Mane carefully. And also Liverpool, I think if we have the money sitting around, I think that's where Liverpool could strengthen. We need another Jota type of signing who can come in, hit the ground running, score goals, get assists, put a little bit of pressure on Mane. Because if Mane right now is a guaranteed starter, because Minamino and Origi are just not even in the same conversation as Mane. But imagine if somebody who has the quality of Jota comes in and puts Mane under pressure, and if Mane doesn't perform, he's out of the team, and then he really needs to up his game. Right now, I think there is not enough pressure maybe on Mane in terms of the squad strength. There is not a true rival to Mane, and I'm not saying that's why he has been struggling a little bit. It could be a number of factors. Last season, I think no fans affected Mane and Firmino the most. They are the two players who absolutely thrive off the fans. This season, I'm still hoping and praying that Mane will be back to his best. Sometimes, players don't get back to their best. Let's hope that's not the case for Mane, but I just wanted to voice my concerns for you guys. It's a big gamble by Liverpool and FSG not to sign an attacker. But I don't know our exact financial situation. Liverpool might not have enough money to sign Mane. We might be saving it for signing Mbappe on a free transfer next summer, or signing Erling Haaland for 64 million, his release clause, and we want to pay his wages, and that's why we are saving the money. Well, if that's the case, if any of those two players are available, I'm fine with Liverpool maybe sacrificing not signing a striker or an attacker right now in order to sign one of the best young players in the world, either Mbappe or Haaland, next summer. But if we don't sign an attacker right now, and if we miss out on those two players, Liverpool might regret that. I still think that Liverpool will be up there in the title race, but it's a little bit worrying, our attacking options. And that's my review of the game. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. See you later. Goodbye.